Hello students, welcome back. So now I'm going to walk you through the process on how you can load and inspect data. First thing you want to do is import pandas as PD, and then I'm going to read a CSV file. In this case, the CSV file I'm using is data underscore iris.csv. Let me show you the content of this file. So this is the file, and these are the contents. So sepal length, sepal length, petal width, and species. So this is my column header. The first row is your column header, and the subsequent rows right here, these are the corresponding data for each one of these columns. Okay, so you read your CSV, and then after that, I'm printing my data frame. So when I print it, you can see it prints out sepal length, petal width, and the species. When you scroll down, it's going to show you how many rows and total columns over here. Now over here, you notice it's not printing everything down. It's only printing like 0 to 4, only like first 5 records. Then you see this dot dot dot. Basically, it's telling you that it's skipping these rows, but it has read this thing in the data frame, and then it's printing the last 5 records over here. So it prints out the first 5 records, and it prints out the last 5 records. Now let's try to read a bigger file. In this case, I'm going to try to read data underscore mpg.csv. The content of this file is this one right here. So in this case, this is your columns right here, and these are the corresponding rows for each one of the column. And you can see that this is a big data. Okay, so in this case, when I try to run this and I try to print your DF, you print your data frame, you can see that it prints out everything pretty much. As it prints out the first 5 records, and then you see this dot 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 skipping these ones, and then it prints out the last 5 right here. Now, if you notice something interesting, you'll see this backslash over here. Basically, that's telling you that, hey, it's not able to print everything out on this screen, so it's rolling over to the next one, and this is the next record right here. So your model year, origin, name actually gets printed over here. Then it shows you total 398 rows and 9 columns. Now, in above cases, you had comma as separating the values inside the CSV file. Well, that may not be true every time. Sometimes you may have a semicolon. For example, this one right here, data California house.csv. In this instance, you have separated as a semicolon. Let me show you the file. This is the file, and you can see that there is a semicolon. Every value is separated by a semicolon over here. Another semicolon, another semicolon. Okay, so in this case, you can read the CSV file, but now you have to specify your sep, which is short for separator. So sep equal to semicolon. If you do not specify this, it's going to take comma as a default value. And then I print my data frame. When I run this, it prints out all the records, nice and neat. And as you can see that it rolls over to the next part, which will be right here. Now let's try to take a look at our data using these head, tail, and sample. The first thing I'm doing is I'm reading my CSV file, and then I'm printing my data frame just to see what's inside the data. It only prints out, it's not going to print everything by default. It's only going to print out the first 5 and the last 5. Let's say you want to see just the top part. Okay, so in this case, you say print df.head. That's going to print out the first 5 record. Well, what if you want the top 20, the first 20? You can specify that too using df.head 20 over here. That's going to print out the first 20 records of that file, of that data frame. Now, what if you want the last 5 of them? Well, in this case, you say df.tail. What if you want the last 20 records over here? You have to use df.tail 20, and that's going to print out the last 20 records. You can see that starting from 130 all the way up to 149. So you can see, you can just, it kind of gives you an idea of what exactly is inside your data frame. What if you want a random sample? You just want to see one of the samples. So you can do df.sample. What if you want to have 12 samples? You can do df.sample and specify 12 as a parameter in there. And you can see that, so these are your values, 12 samples picked up for you randomly. And this way it kind of allows you to see your numbers. You can see sepal length, sepal width, petal length, petal width. These are all numerical in nature. And your species, these are like categorical. They are text in data. Now I want to see how many rows and columns I have explicitly. So in this case, you can type print df.shape. That's going to give you how many rows and columns. 150 rows and 5 columns. What about, I want to know the names of my columns. How can I do that? Well, there's a print df.columns. When you run this, it's going to print out the name of all the columns. Sepal length, sepal width, petal width, and species. So in conclusion, your iris data set has 150 rows, it has 5 columns, and the column names are sepal length, sepal width, petal width, and species.